This is Secret America with your hosts, Jack Danger and James Clary.
Welcome, everybody. I am Jack Danger. You know James Clary as well. And today we have a very special guest. Now, the thing is, we are going to be talking to him about the things that everybody wants to know about. I'm not going to discuss the subjects yet. Unfortunately, Tim Burchett, he's going to try to get here before 7:30, but he will be on the show 7:30 at the latest. What he's doing is he's trying to squeeze us in between a couple events that he has to go to. So as soon as that event is over, he's going to come into the show 7:30 at the latest, hopefully before then. But before that, we're still going to talk about, do our regular show before he comes in. James, one of the biggest stories has happened that you could not possibly have foreseen or imagined. We're talking about current and former NBA players working with the mafia. La Cosa Nostra is alive and well. They are working with the mafia for sports, for betting. Not only, James, did they work with them to do all the under bets, which means, you bet on them to score under this amount of points or under this
Prop
amount
bets.
of bets. Exactly. They only did the under bets because if you do the under bets, then the players can miss shots and stuff and make sure they come in under 20 points, under 10 rebounds, whatever it is. That's easy enough to cheat on. But they also did poker games. And get this, they had UV, ultraviolet glasses, right? Ultraviolet ray glasses. And the cards were specially made. You could not see writing on the cards. They look like a regular deck of cards. But if you put those glasses on, it tells you the number on the back of the card. You can see 2. You can see Q for queen, X for 10, K for king. Whoever's wearing those glasses could see that. And they were cheating that way too. James, this scandal is huge. You're talking about Chauncey Billups. He's the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. You're talking about Terry Rozier. He is an NBA player for the Miami Heat. This is massive. And they've already arrested 34 people, James. Who knows how far this goes, man?
It's the tip of the iceberg. I saw an interview with Tim Donaghy, the referee who served jail time for wire fraud and, betting on the NBA. And that's how he started the interview. He's like, it's the tip of the iceberg. And so that's a good question, Charles. Like Rozier has made $100 million. And you ask, well, why would he cheat? It's the addiction. It is. Look, gambling is as addictive as drugs. There's an adrenaline rush that comes with it. I'm a libertarian. I would never want to outlaw betting. As a matter of fact, I think it's crazy. We allow alcohol, it's legal. Now marijuana is legal everywhere. Mm-hmm. But I think the way these sports books, DraftKings and all the rest have just taken over sports, dude, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. There's very negative effects on society. One poll, Jack, a recent poll found that bankruptcies in states that legalized gambling went up 30% in 3 years after they legalized it. Now, again, I'm not saying get rid of it, but there's got to be, it's just like a drug addiction. You have treatment centers. There needs to be more warning. There's a whole generation, particularly young men are very, very apt to fall into this. There's a whole generation of young men who've been ruined by online legal sports betting.
Yeah, but the cheating is the thing that, betting, they want to win. But when you win, if you're only looking for the high from winning, when you win by cheating, it's just doesn't feel as good. You're like, I didn't do that. But
right.
It's just weird because the mafia is in it for the money. They are not in it for the addiction. I know the mafia, but why in the world? They've got plenty of money too. You know what this does? Excuse me. Everybody thought the mafia was dead, man. They
Yeah,
thought
right.
the mafia was dead. This brings them back to the forefront in front of the cameras. A national story, James.
I
The
thought
mafia.
that poker cheating thing is that is wild, dude. Not only they had the X-ray glasses, they had a table that was set up so that certain players could see the cards through the table. I mean, they had, and apparently their marks, the people that they got, lost $7.1 million.
I can tell you what, they just made a lot of enemies. Now that the people know they were cheated, wait till you see what happens to this shit.
Oh,
They
I
are
know.
gonna go
And you know
nuts.
what? I think you're going to see it. I think the NFL's next. I think the NFL's been rigged. You know, a lot of people have felt that way anyway. I think it could bleed into Major League Baseball, the WNBA, college sports. You know it's going on.
But see, now think about the enemies, man. I mean, they've probably done this to other mafia members. They've probably done, I mean, because people that do these kind of games, that play in these kind of games, have big time money usually. So we're talking people that have resources to come after the mafia, to come after the NBA players. They're going to be pissed if they lost millions and millions of dollars, man.
Yeah, you know, think about a college kid, though, where, you know, somebody comes to him, he's not good enough to make the NFL, right? He's a college football player, and they say, look, if you just do this, just lay down, you know, the spread's 15, just win by 12 only. Win by 12, I'll cut you a check for 50 grand. You do that 5 times, you got $250,000. I mean, it's so tempting. That this is what the mob does. They're freaking criminals. Of course they're involved in this.
Oh, they absolutely are. And that's the crazy thing. They've already, like I said, they've already arrested 34 people, including current and former NBA players. And I guarantee you that there are even bigger names that are going to fall right now. They haven't done that yet because they wanted to get all the small fish out first. There are going to be big names. And I'm talking big. LeBron James.
I was going to say, what about your boy, man?
Now, he wasn't named as a person that gambled, though. He was named as a person that somebody stole his injury information. When he was injured, one of his teammates put the information from his injury and gave it out to other people. We're talking 15, 20 years in prison. This isn't some regular, $5 card game that you cheated at. This is massive. We are talking racketeering, James. Well, minimum 10-year minimum prison sentence.
The way they prosecute that is if you give that information over the phone to somebody in another state, it's now interstate wire fraud.
Wire fraud. And that, believe it or not, wire fraud carries a 15-year penalty. All these charges together, if you get them for racketeering, for RICO, it is a 10-year minimum sentence. 10-year federal minimum sentence. So every single one of these people, every single one of them are going to get a minimum of 10 years unless they roll over on somebody. But let me tell you right now, you're mixed in with the mafia. You do not roll over.
I don't know, man. You don't think Rozier and Chauncey Billups, when they get in that interrogation room,
it would not be a good idea. They can, but it would not be a good idea.
Yeah, it's hard to tell in the reporting. We don't know how much of which, because there's two things we're talking about, right? We're talking about players throwing games in the NBA and then these poker games, two completely different issues. I mean, the prosecutors threw them in together, which was kind of odd.
Well, it's because it's a RICO charge. If one person commits it, if it's like a group of people and they're all in a conspiracy, if one person commits a different crime, they're all charged with that crime. So that's why they're going to get a long sentence, each and every one of these people.
Well, so do you think, I mean, I guess the point I was making, I'm unsure as to which the NBA throwing the games or the poker games that the Costa Nostra was involved, or was it both? I don't know.
I guarantee you it was both, because it all starts with them. They would approach these players. These players didn't just come up with that by themselves. No offense, but they're not bright enough and they don't have the connections enough to do the underworld stuff like that. When the mafia joins in, I can promise you NBA players don't go to the mafia and say, hey, I'd love to do this cheating scandal. No. You don't want the mafia involved. But if the mafia comes to you and says, hey, we got an idea of how to make a lot of money. Are you in or out? So I'm telling you, it's most likely the mafia did all of it. And it is absolutely insane, man. I mean, just getting mixed up with the mafia. Are you kidding me?
I know. And Adam Silver went on some show. I'm looking up. He went on a show. I think he was trying to get out in front of it. It was like the day before this was announced.
Really? He knew about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, that interview I saw with Tim, that referee who served prison time, he said that at the time, who was it? Stern. What was the guy's name? Stern, the previous commissioner. Yeah. He covered that up. He got a lid on it. There were apparently
How long ago did this happen?
No, there were 7 other people that the FBI wanted to indict when that, when that Tim guy got indicted, and Stern was able to use his power and leverage to cover it up. And he said it was at the highest places. I guarantee you, he got very involved, politicians involved who talked to the DOJ. They put a lid on it. This thing's blown wide open, man.
When did this occur? Like, what are the charges? What year were these charges for? Do you know?
For Tim Donahue, I think it was in the late 90s.
No, not Tim Donahue. I'm talking about the current charges. I mean, when did these things occur?
Well, I know that Chauncey Billup, that one of the things he was charged with was 2023. So this is an ongoing investigation that started way before Trump took office.
Wow.
They said that the investigation had been going on, I believe it was for 2.5 to 3 years.
That is absolutely crazy, man. I mean, you're talking NBA players that actually go out and that's just I can't believe they would do that, man. I mean, you're risking huge. I know the money might be big, but it's not huge money. It's not hundreds of millions of dollars. You are risking a mandatory minimum 10-year prison sentence. You're talking RICO, racketeering, corruption. There are corruption charges in this thing. We're talking big prison sentences that you risked for, maybe, mafia is going to take most of the cut. You're going to get a little bit, but it's sure as hell not worth, 10 years of your freedom, 20 years of your freedom? What do you think, James?
Oh, no, it's crazy. And what really disturbs me, too, is the way the NBA, these leagues are so, dude, I know everybody loves sports, and I still watch the NBA. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I'm an avid Warriors fan. They're playing tonight. I'll watch them tonight.
I'm a Lakers. Austin Reeves with 51 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds last night.
Who did the Lakers play in the season opener?
The Warriors.
Oh,
but we didn't have LeBron. You can't win without your star players.
LeBron. So anyway, Adam Silver in this interview said he was deeply disturbed. Did you know the NBA had done an internal investigation into Rozier? And he says, so listen to this quote. Adam Silver, nothing more important to the league and its fans than the integrity of the competition. I had a pit in my stomach. It was so upsetting. Then he goes on to say, he described the league's internal investigation. He noted the league had insufficient evidence at that time to take action. Bullshit.
Wow.
So in other words, the league tried to cover it up, and the FBI is knocking on the door saying, no, sorry, pal, these guys are going down. Oh, they always lost your mic, buddy. So anyway, the whole thing is, and it's part of the reason I don't watch the NFL, but primarily too, the NFL has gone so woke. I mean, I think they still have racism in their,
can you hear me?
And yeah, I can hear you now, in their end zone, the NFL. I think the NFL's next, bro. I really do.
Oh, I guarantee it. No, it could extend all the way to every single one of the major, of the major sports leagues. I mean, just imagine how far it could go. But, I searched for, I want to change the subject real quick because there's some funny stuff here. You know what? Okay. So you know how everybody thinks that Barack Obama is actually like an Arab person or African or whatever it is, and he shouldn't have been president. He was an imposter and everything.
Kenya.
Yeah. Well, some people say Arab, some, Kenya, whatever. But you know what's funny?
Arab?
Yeah, there are some
people. No one says Arab. He was African.
Well, that's what people say. I mean, who knows if he's actually even Kenyan?
They said he's from Kenya. I think he actually was born in Kenya, but that's my opinion.
I'm sure he was. But, it's funny because have you ever done anagrams before? This is really interesting, okay? So did you know that the anagram, which is when you take a word, scramble it, and use the same letters to make another word? Did you know that President Barack Obama, if you use the words President Barack Obama, it spells an Arab-backed imposter. That's not, I mean, is that not unbelievable? It doesn't say he's Arab. It's saying he was backed by Arabs, an Arab-backed imposter.
No, he was. You remember one of the first scandals, if you will, in the Obama White House is he invited the Muslim Brotherhood to the White House.
But I mean, now this name is a name that they picked. He wasn't born with this name. So what if they picked this name because that's what it said? Look at this shit. I want you to look at it, James. Look at this. Is unbelievable. Okay, right here. Take a look right here. Okay. All right. So look at that anagram right there. President Barack Obama. You take that. You take those three words. It spells out an Arab-backed imposter. That is unbelievable, man.
You've never looked into gematria, have you?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but
well, you should sometime. It'll be, you talk about blowing your mind, dude.
Yeah.
The words, when you assign numbers to letters, this stuff just blows your mind. But we don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
I mean, that's just crazy, is it not? An Arab-backed imposter, President Barack Obama. I mean, what? PsyOps Wars had some pretty funny. Have you been to whitehouse.gov and see all the stuff they posted? Like no,
they did like a history timeline, and they said like on this date, the Monica Lewinsky Bill Clinton scandal blew up, which led to impeachment of Bill Clinton. And I think they put the Muslim Brotherhood on this day. Barack Obama invited the Muslim Brotherhood to the White House.
Man, it is unbelievable.
Oh, man, there's no better troll than the White House staff. They are the best. So I mean, whitehouse.gov is hilarious now.
Oh, it is. It's all because of Trump. Did you see the picture that is in Trump's hallway at the White House? Get this, okay? He has a picture of okay, so it's a framed picture, and what it is it's an auto pen, an actual pen, a mechanical pen spelling out Joe Biden in cursive. It is unbelievable because it's making fun of his auto pen signatures.
I'm telling you, man.
People have got to go see that.
They are the best trolls in the world. I mean, what other president would make fun of his predecessors? He doesn't like those guys at all.
Who does? I don't know anybody that liked those guys.
I still want to know what the hell was in the envelopes at the George Bush Sr. funeral. Remember that?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
I'd kill to know what he said, and the look on Jeb's face.
Oh man. And then because I wonder if he actually said, "This is what we know about you," or now George Bush is in charge, or whatever it is, because he was the director of the CIA before he became president. And the reason he became president is because he was director of the CIA. He had all the dirt. And if you have all the dirt, imagine dying and they hand out envelopes. What funeral hands out envelopes to everybody after they die? Oh, no. Those envelopes were a warning and a threat, and I would pay anything to just see the one that was given to Hillary Clinton.
Oh, I know. Well, and then nothing happened to those people, and look what happened to Trump. He went through 4 years
they didn't get out of line,
hell.
Yeah.
Those that first administration, I mean, what they put that guy through is just insane. It truly is.
So for everybody out there, I shared this video, right? And for anybody that's watching, Tim Burchett will be on here by 7:30 at the latest. He's squeezing us in between 2 events that he has to do, but he will be on at 7:30 at the latest. Hopefully a little earlier, but at least 7:30. So we'll have time to ask him some questions and talk to him. So, James, one thing that I want everybody to know, though, is anybody that watches this from New York, you have got to stop Zohran Mamdani from becoming mayor. You've got to, because the things that he's talking about, he actually lied about. Okay, first of all, his aunt, I believe, she was nowhere near 9/11. She lived in Tanzania at the time. She was not near 9/11 at all. Second, He's talking about freezing the rent. First of all, you could only do that for 25% of the rent people, because that's 25% of the only ones that are rent controlled. 25% of the apartments in New York. But he can't freeze the rent at all. That is the Rent Guidelines Board that does that, and the mayor does not control the Rent Guidelines Board. So that's a lie right there. He cannot freeze the rent. Second, he has never had a job, James. He's never had a job, ever. Did you know this, James?
He comes from a very wealthy family.
Yeah, but his entire time in the New York State Assembly, he did not propose one bill. Did you also know that he had the worst attendance of any assemblyman in the entire state of New York?
You're preaching to the choir. He's up 30 points, bro. He's gonna win.
Well, I'm just saying, things happen. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. No, I really don't know. No, I mean, I think he's gonna win. There's two ways to look at it. I mean, I agree. This is a terrible thing. I love New York City. I've been to Manhattan, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, had some great times there. It's a beautiful city. My sister lives on the East Coast, lived in Manhattan for many years. But, it's going to be terrible for the city, but it might be really good for the country, because it's going to expose what happens when a Democrat socialist takes over. Now, I say that, but look at the mayors we've had already. I mean, they're horrible.
I mean, what about Brandon Johnson? 7% approval rating, but he gets reelected.
I know. It's ridiculous. These blue cities just rampant with crime, trash everywhere, feces on the sidewalk, and they keep putting Democrats in. I don't understand it. Those people, well, we know those people, they're not well, Jack. They're not well. Let me just say that.
They're not at all. And it makes me wonder. It's really got to make you wonder, James. Maybe, they have to be cheating at this point. There is no way a mayor has a 7% approval rating, the lowest approval rating in the history of the world, yet he is reelected. Now, the 7% that approved of him, let's say every single person that approved of him voted. That's only 7% of the vote.
I know.
How the hell would this man possibly win?
Yeah, well, it's like we've talked about before, too, in the 24 election, where Trump won these states and then a Democrat wins the governor. Look at your state. I mean, what the hell? You can't tell me North Carolina's blue.
No. It's absolutely ridiculous. First of all, Trump won North Carolina, like you said. And the Republicans have a super majority in North Carolina. That means that there's so many Republicans elected to the General Assembly, we can actually override the governor's veto. If he vetoes a law, we can override him and make it a law anyway.
Yet a Democrat was elected governor.
Yet a Democrat was elected governor for the 3rd or 4th straight term.
Doesn't make sense.
It's just not realistic.
No.
Not realistic.
No, and I honestly, because the states run the elections, we've had this conversation before, but I don't know how much the federal government can do. I know that the Trump administration's trying to get some legislation that keeps illegals from voting, but I don't think it's just illegals. I mean, there's many ways that they cheated in 2020. I'm sure they did the same in 24.
Oh, I guarantee it. But see, all they got to do is, now I know you can't like meddle in their elections, but what you can do is do a federal law where everybody has to have paper ballots, 1-day voting, a federal holiday voting, and the ballots have to be counted by hand. Now, you're not messing with the elections. You're just messing with you're not messing with how they proceed or anything. You're just messing with the actual minutia of the election. They can change those things that they make a law. Now, they can't tell them how to run their elections. Like, they can't say, you've got to do this, or you've got to have your election polling there. You've got to open it at 7 a.m. They can't do that, but they can make it a uniform law where it's paper ballots, same day voting, and no mail-in, all that stuff. And that's what needs to happen, James, right now.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I didn't know that, Jack. I didn't think they could, but I just looked it up. Article 1, Section 4, elections gives Congress the power to make or alter rules for how congressional elections are conducted.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And why haven't they done that? Why? Because they cheat. They all cheat. Republicans cheat, Democrats cheat. So it's just like they're never going to pass term limits. They're never going to reduce their salary.
Nope.
One thing I got to talk to you about before Tim comes on.
Yeah.
What do you, if you don't mind me switching gears, have you
Sure.
been seeing the viral videos of these freaking freeloaders that get food stamps,
Oh my
SNAP,
God. I made
saying
a
that they're going to
special video about these
steal,
people.
rob, you know?
Mhm. They're talking about, oh, we're going to steal from Walmart if we don't get our food stamps. These
Right.
people, there are people, James, that have 3 kids. They are getting $3,000 a month in food stamps.
I know. It's insane.
3,000. They're saying, oh, he dropped me to $750. You're telling me you can't feed your kids with $750 for a month? That is insane.
And every one of them, the first thing they say is, oh, Trump took our food stamp. Trump had nothing to do with it. These people are so freaking ignorant. It drives me crazy. And
That's
it's
the
not,
thing, they're very
and
ignorant.
don't get me wrong. It's not a race thing. It's white, black. It's people.
Well,
and look, there are some people that need assistance. And I'm all about that. But none of these programs were ever intended to be lifelong. They were supposed to be a helping hand while you got on your feet or whatever. But these, you know, a lot of them are saying, I'll never work. I'm not going to work. I never have work and I'm no work. One woman went so far to say that taxpayers owe me.
yeah, a guy actually said the taxpayers work for me.
Yeah, I
The
saw that.
taxpayers work
Right.
for me. I was befuddled. I love the word befuddled. I was befuddled. You know what I mean? I'm like, whoa. He's saying that our job is to support his family.
Yeah.
These are the people that we spend our tax dollars on without any say so from us. These are the people. They are entitled, they are ungrateful, and they just have as many kids as they can just so they can get more benefits. Ooh, you know what? I want an extra $500 in food stamps. Let's go have sex and have another kid. Let's get the government and the taxpayers to foot the bill for our family. And then you know what they do? Generation after generation after generation live on welfare and food stamps. They're like, oh, you know what? You don't have to work. Just do what we do. You know, live here in the projects and you can have money to live and food. You don't got to do shit else.
Well,
That's
thank
America.
goodness. I will say the Trump administration has taken some steps, like in Section 8
That's
housing.
what I love about it.
Yeah, and with SNAP benefits, they're like, look, if you're an able-bodied person, you got to go find a job. We'll give you some help, which is the way it was intended to be run anyway. So I also saw another guy who was beautiful. This TikTok woman said, people saying, how do I get food stamps? Well, you just lie. She did this long video about how she said she was homeless, unmarried. By the way, she had a real nice home. She was married.
Yeah.
She said she just lied. She openly on TikTok. And then the next video, like a month later, is like, yeah, the county showed up at my door.
Oh my God,
today.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. She's
Right.
like, oh, I only have to pay, you pay $750 for my 3-bedroom, you know? And then, yeah, she's like, oh, I just got an eviction notice like a month later because people were calling and reporting her. I love it. I'm sorry.
Well, no, this was
but
a
I
different
loved
one.
it.
This is a woman that went to jail for fraud, or she didn't go to jail. She said they gave her she owes $35,000 for food stamps.
Why in
and
the
they're
world would
charging
you
her
make
with
videos
fraud.
bragging about the shit you get away
How
with?
stupid!
You
is
got to be
that?
idiot. That's evidence for crime.
Of course, somebody turned her in, which
I know,
think
that's
it's
the
great.
best part. That's the best part. Man.
Terry's right. A lot of people will sell their food stamp dollars for alcohol
50 cents
and
on the
drugs.
dollar. They sell them for 50 cents on the dollar. They say, all right, I need $100. I'll sell you $200 of food stamps for $100. Then they take that $100, they go score heroin or cocaine or whatever it is.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the time, James, they don't even use the food stamps for food at all. It's literally just extra money from the government to prop up their drug habit.
Yeah. Yeah, if they can sell it, because I know they can get like 50 cents on the dollar, like Terry said.
Oh,
or
it's
whatever.
easy to sell. Everybody will take your food stamps, because if you're talking $200 worth of groceries for $100, easy as hell to sell your food stamps.
Yeah, I'd buy that. Absolutely.
Really?
I mean, there was a point with COVID, man.
Uh-oh, James. I think you froze, my man.
I probably could have.
James? James.
I'm here.
You're freezing.
I'm here. Bro, talk to StreamYard. Don't talk to me. I haven't done a thing. This stupid program. We're going to have to.
All right, it's good now. Go ahead. Just go ahead. You think you're good now?
Yeah, I know.
No, you're not good. You're lagging. It doesn't matter. Let's just talk. We can just talk.
No, it's not, I mean, on my end, it's fine, dude. Everything's
really
copacetic. Yeah.
Can anybody see this, or is it just me?
No, Jack. I mean, just did it last week. You froze a couple times.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the
okay. You're perfect now.
Software.
Yeah, you're perfect now. I can see everything's good now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to what we were talking about, James. What were we talking about? People freeloading in America? Isn't that the American way?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what America is now? We are a country of freeloaders. We don't produce anything. We don't do anything. Everything is produced outside of America. I mean, what good? I mean, America has got to. This country, James, is a Ponzi scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme. Eventually, it's got to come crashing down, my man.
Yeah, I think we're so overdue for a major financial meltdown, bro. I mean, they normally happen every 7 years. The last big one we had was 2008. I mean, look, the price of gold is over 4,000 right now. It's up 40% this year.
We got Tim on. We got Tim on. So everybody, Congressman Tim Burchett is on. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. He's an excellent congressman. He represents Tennessee, and he's one of the nicest people and honest people that you'll ever meet. So Tim, welcome. Thank you for doing this, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, brother. You're putting the pressure on all that. It was compliments, but I appreciate it.
No. I mean, hell, just you being yourself is what we love, because you are an honest man. And I love some of the stuff you put out, your Burger King video about the No Kings. That was genius. Did you think of that? Who thought of that? That was genius.
I did, actually. I thought of it a couple days before the event happened, and I thought, surely somebody else is going to do this, my little simple mind. And then if I didn't do it, and it went crazy, over 2 million views, and just went, and Fox News had it on in its entirety. It's just crazy. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. So if you don't mind, since we only got about 30 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start, and then, James going to add, we're just going to talk to you. Is that cool with you?
That's great, brother. And for the record, I do love a Whopper. No mayonnaise, no onions. I like with extra pickles and extra ketchup.
Definitely. That's what I like to hear. That's cool. So, so the first thing I wanted to ask you about, Tim, is HR 5704, the legislation that seeks to repeal the modernization of the Smith-Mundt Act. I mean, you know how Barack Obama enacted this modernization so that way domestic propaganda could essentially be legalized and used as a weapon against the American people? Well, so I just wanted to ask
Run that by me again.
I'm sorry?
Go run that by me, and I lost you for a second. We lost the video.
What was it? So I wanted to ask you about HR 5704, the legislation that seeks to repeal the modernization of the Smith-Mundt Act. Because, Barack Obama modernized it so that way, that you could use domestic propaganda against Americans. And Americans are tired of the lies and the government pressure on these media outlets. So I just wanted to ask, do you support HR 5704? And do you think, with you talking to President Trump, does he support it as well?
I do, but you got so much, it gets ingrained in Congress, and we don't have the guts to do a lot of things. That's the truthful answer. And you got to have 60 votes in the Senate. We've got 53 there. So, it's going to be tough. I think you're going to see the media will be lobbying, whispering in people's ears. You got a lot of K Street lobbyists. They get fat off of stuff like that, those so-called unintended consequences. I'd vote for it right now if I could do it. But again, I think I was on CNN one time, and I told the lady, wow, did you see what just ran by us? And she said, no, what? And I said, a glacier. I said, that's about the speed of Congress.
That's awesome. Congressman, hey, I'm James. I really appreciate you joining the show. I have a lot of roots in Tennessee. My middle name is Webb, for Webb School for Boys in Bell Buckle, Tennessee. Sonny Webb was my great-grandfather, and I always loved to see another congressman from that great state. I've got to get into really one of my favorite topics, which is the whole UFO UAP thing. Eric Burleson is a good friend of mine. This is the district. He's from 7th in Springfield.
And he'll be on our show next week.
Yeah, he's coming on next week, and we're going to talk about this. But what do you think it's all about money and power. What do you think the Pentagon or whoever it is hiding? And is it the government or is it, as I believe, it's more in the hands of private contractors? And what I'm talking about is this technology.
Right. I think it's a combination. And Eric Burleson's an excellent congressman. He's one of my favorite people in Congress, one of my best friends. I
He's
cherish his
awesome, isn't
friendship.
he?
You're lucky to have him. He's a quality dude. But no, I think it's a
Definitely.
combination of a lot of different things. It's power, it is control. But I do think it's been handed off. I mean, you figure since Roswell occurred in 47, Roswell, New Mexico, and nobody's even alive that was around during all that. So it has been given off to private enterprise, and it's done that by design too. Yeah, I mean the puppet masters, if you will, because that way it's not foiable if it's in the hands of private industry. And you probably have 5 or 6 contractors. You can think of them off the top of your head. Maybe a couple of
Yeah.
them you can't. But just look at the people in the Senate that always block my bills on disclosure, and look at who their contributors are, and then you can figure out who they are.
Right.
But the reality is that the federal government does not want us to have that stuff out. The big boys don't. They've misled the public. They've lied about the issue for years. And I said it's not about flying saucers and little green men with me. It's just about what are we spending tens of millions of dollars on? And then each department has, if they say they don't exist, why does I mean, the FBI, the CIA, all our branches of military have somebody that's investigating this. The Pentagon, they've dictated millions of dollars in the past and probably currently are over studying something. And a lot of it is just misinformation that they're putting out. I get that all the time. People will come see me, and I secretly wonder, are they trying to give me bad information so I'll come forward and it discredit me? And I got news for them. I'll discredit myself on a regular basis. They don't need to help me anymore.
That's awesome. And so I just wanted to ask you really just a straight up question. You being, a prominent member of the House Oversight Committee, and you knowing about the UFO, I call them UFOs rather than UAPs. I like
UAP is just trying to dislodge
exactly. So
another attempt by the federal government, I think.
So with you, I mean, after everything you've seen in public hearings and behind closed doors, and I'm not going to ask you to disclose any of the things you've seen behind closed doors, but what I do want to ask you is, do you know for a fact, not an opinion, but for a fact, that there is indeed intelligent life beyond what is on Earth?
Non-human.
I do.
Yeah.
Wow. So that means there is or there isn't?
I think there is. I mean, and I'm sitting there talking to one of the best pilots in the world, and he tells me something was 14 feet away from his canopy, and it goes like that. And he says nothing we had. And then I have people that I've seen. It's not AI. It's before AI really came on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Something we don't have any of the capability of. When I have an former admiral tell me this thing was as big as a football field doing 200 miles an hour underwater, when we don't have anything that'll break 35 miles an hour. And when I have people come to my house and show me on my hook their computer up to my television screen and show me things that we're not capable of, but the question is, how can something travel light years? I mean, the light from the stars in the sky left there before the time of Christ. I mean, you cannot doubt the vastness of God's great universe. And and then when they tell me there's 5 deep sea areas that we know very little about, and we seem to have a high propensity of sightings there, that makes me think something else, that possibly, if there is something, that something's been here for a while. But am I afraid of it? No, it doesn't make me doubt my Christianity anymore. It just shows me that God is maybe a little bigger than I thought he was. And infinity goes on for a long time. I mean, we're one grain of sand. This earth our universe is one grain of sand in a billion seas. I mean, it's just too much. And I won't probably never understand it till on this side of the grave. And, and I read the Bible. Ezekiel saw the wheel, and the wheel was, at the time, the wheel was the most technologically advanced item that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 1, God created the heavens and the earth. It's just too much for me, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about anybody coming and getting me, or zapping me, or probing me.
Yeah.
But that's just my beliefs, and I'm not knocking anybody. And I hear people say, "Man, Burchett, you're kicking," and I've been told by a former member of President Trump's staff early on, "Man, I kicked the hornet's nest on this one." He said, "Man, you need to get bodies around you, dude. You kicked the hornet's nest." I'm in the hallway. I'm in the tunnel, and a member who's close to me comes up to me and says, and I have no doubt they were told to say this. They said, "Man, aren't you afraid that what you're doing is going to offset what people believe?" I mean, this whole thing, it's kind of like in Deep Throat, the
Exactly.
Yeah.
where, and it's never some guy you hate, or it's somebody you're close to that always delivers the message.
Always.
So I'm just, it's a lot going on, but I'll probably never get to the bottom of it in my lifetime. But I'm still going to keep asking the question.
That's the oldest argument, from the powers that be, that it would, if we told you the truth, it would upset religion, everybody would freak out. But soft disclosure has been going on forever. But I want what you said really begs the question: do you believe that this is a spiritual thing? I mean, I know you were on Tucker. It was a great interview. I think he believes, and I know that Jacques Vallée at the end of his career felt that, as did J. Allen Hynek. He thought these were spiritual entities. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't say that some of them aren't, but I mean, I read the Bible. I understand. Again, I'm a Christian. I don't worry about it. They're not coming out. They're not getting to me. They might get to my people around me. They might have infested half of Congress, but they're not getting to me, and I don't really care. I think if some of them are, that's great, but I don't think some of them are. I don't think that's all of it. And I don't doubt people's religious beliefs. I'm at it, that my fellow Christians that believe that, and I get that. I'm trying to knock it, but it's not for the federal government to hold back from me.
No, you're absolutely right. And I want to switch gears for a second, because there's something interesting that a lot of people want to know, and I was hoping that you could shed some light on this. Over the years, all the way up through this administration, there have been people who are on a mission to bring justice and transparency to America, to fight for the people. However, most of them, once they're elected or appointed, they go silent and they never actually do anything. Before they're in, they really want to help. Once they get in, they seem almost scared, or they get rich very quickly. So I was just wondering, to the best of your knowledge, do you know if people like that are bribed, blackmailed, or threatened?
Well, sure. I mean, the title of my book will be Compromised. That's going to get us pre-published.
I like that.
It's compromised. I mean, that if I ever write a book, if I live long enough. But I just think that, I mean, the Russians had the honeypots forever, but take it one step further. Today, sexual misconduct is so passé. Nobody gives a rip.
Yeah, it's true. They've had to go to sexual misconduct with children.
Yeah. Well, how they own them is they give them a job. They give their wife and or girlfriend or both a job. What's $100,000 a year no-show job to a multi-billion-dollar contract? Imagine this. We have we're in this war with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
And the day, President Biden comes on and says, we're giving them our missile defense system. Well, everybody knows with a missile defense system, you have to re-up ours. So with a no-bid multi-billion-dollar contract, we have to resupply our missiles. And who owns stock in that? Members of Congress, both parties. Some of them bought it just a couple of weeks prior to that.
Wow.
And you got members of Congress, but everybody wants to rail on Pelosi. And that's great, but she's not even in the top 10. She's number 11, I think, of the people that go.
I love how you said that's great.
Yeah, so go on the sites that the like Unusual Whales. It has a listing of all of it, and my wife always gets on me every year. She's like, "Honey, you could at least crack the top 100." And I mean, look, dude, if you're making 500-600% return on your investments every day in the stock market, you ought to be on Wall Street, not in the United States Congress. So
Yeah, and if your
and
salary's
also,
100K, but you got
yeah,
50 million in the bank, I mean,
they're fighting me at Luna on this, no, this no stock trading and do like I do. Just own a dadgum mutual fund.
Yeah.
It gets good returns. I've cashed it out now. It was $11,000, I think. I paid for my daughter's
nice.
school for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a wealthy man. My banker, Rob Barger, called me one time and said, he said, Tim, I know you're the most honest member of the Congress. I think you're the most honest member of Congress, but you're definitely the poorest member of Congress.
Well, that's what it takes to be honest. You have
Well,
to be brutally honest.
Burleson's right there with you, bro. I've
Yeah.
been to his house many times. It's nice, but it's not a mansion. So that begs the question. What is the answer to the corruption? The corruption is rife on both sides. I mean, I know a handful of people in Congress, including you, Eric, and a few others. I mean, I know you throw your hands up. How do you think the citizens feel? It's like, what the F? What are we supposed to do?
You got to do more than 12% of the population voting. I always say you got to put enough points on the board. The other side can't steal it. And I just don't think people get that. I voted, you voted for the president every 4 years. I bet you didn't vote for your school board. I bet you didn't vote for state rep or your local mayor. Those numbers are just ridiculous. And that's where they do it. The best thing you could hear from Washington is we did nothing this year. The best thing local government is where it's at. I was in the state house for 16 years. And I was the county mayor in Knox County for 8 years. That's where it happens, dude. I mean, you can get stuff done. You can relieve a lot of burden for people. You can pay down debt. That's what I did when I was county mayor. It's not real sexy. It wasn't, but it's pretty popular stuff because I won the first time with 85% in the primary against a very popular local politician, and the second time we ran unopposed. So,
cool.
it's a popular thing if you just do it. But again, nobody has the guts anymore. You run these people for office, they feel like they're entitled, and they walk around. I had the best compliment I'd ever had. I used to sit on the second row, but during COVID, I got tired of being down front because it was so boring. I moved to the back and I sit on the second to last row. I call it center's row. Everybody gets in trouble and they come sit with me. But I was sitting down front and one of the old timers was behind me. A couple of them, they always sit in the same spot. And they said, Burchett? I said, yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. He said, how long you been here? And I said, just a year. And he goes, really? And I said, yes, sir. He said, you don't act like it. And I said, is that a compliment? And he said, yeah, it's a compliment. He said, look at these idiots walking around here acting like they're running the show. They ain't got a clue. And I said, yes, sir. I said, they all think they're going to get a call from the president. They're going to negotiate a trade deal with North Korea. And, listen, if Peyton Manning was in Congress, he'd still be waiting to get in because it just matters. What matters is how much money you raise and how much butt you kiss. And I do and I can't raise money. The big boys shut me down every time. They come after me. They don't like my stand on TVA. They don't like my stand on corruption. They don't like my stand on stock trading. And they shut my money off, but we somehow managed to win. They always call me the day after the election to come by and pick up a check.
Oh, I bet.
And I would say, well, really, they said, I tell them I really felt it right there towards the end. Thanks for the help. It's just the way it is. And it's very unfortunate. It's very difficult for people like me to be in Congress. Because I bet
you're the reason that we wanted you here is because you are one of the honest people, one of the handful of people that are honest and willing to tell the truth, when you're asked questions, voting the right way, sticking to your morals and values, and that's what we really love. But one of the themes on our show, one of the things we talk about almost every episode is justice, and a lot of people voted for President Trump because they wanted revenge on the government. They wanted justice for all the censorships, the arrests, the raids, and the tortures that conservatives had to endure during the Biden regime. But then Trump gets in office, justice seems to move at like a snail's pace. And now there are some people who, I guess, hoping that there is justice going on behind closed doors, perhaps military tribunals, secret grand jury indictments, or trials in absentia. They believe this kind of thing. So is there any kind of justice happening behind closed doors?
I think there is. We're moving in the right direction. But as Trump found out in his first term, it's just so big and it's so deep. everybody calls it a swamp, and I always tell people swamp something's pretty cool that God created. It's a ecosystem. Frogs, animals feed off of it. It's made by God, but Washington D.C. is made by man. It is an open sewer, and that's you need to treat it as such. You'll get some on you if you get into it too much, and that's the problem you get up here. You get corrupted. The benefit I had was we never had anything growing up. My dad was an old World War II Marine. Hell, my mama flew an airplane during the Second World War. I mean,
Wow.
they were hardworking badasses and just
Yeah.
good Christian people, and they fought the man. They fought the system, and they instilled that in me. And I never had the stuff. My buddies had nice cars, and I got to drive them. And they started enforcing the DUI laws in Knoxville because they'd always get me to come drive them somewhere.
Yeah, you'd be the designated driver. Yeah.
But you know what? I had a meal every night, and I had parents that loved me, and that's more than a lot of my
That's what
wealthy
matters.
friends.
Absolutely.
So I hit the lottery as far as that goes. But so that stuff was never the money. And yeah, I like making money. I like I'm trying to sell skateboards right now, which ironically I have to hire a lawyer to do that. But I told the ethics people in DC, I said, so I can insider trade stocks without any problem. Well, yeah, but if you want to sell skateboards, I gotta get an attorney, which is just
and we're
crazy.
gonna try to show the skateboards for you sometime too, the Burchett boards. Yeah,
I would love that, but we'll wait till we get them in production better.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the whole system is stacked against people. But but you cannot let that stop you. We've got to take this dadgum country back. God has given us an incredible gift. My uncle is buried over in Europe, fought the Nazis, and my dad left a lot of Japanese in those caves over there in the Pacific. And I sure as hell hope all that wasn't in vain. And every night I walk out and look at that dome over the Capitol, and I'm not being funny about this, but I literally get a chill on my spine when I'm out there just thinking, wow, Charlie and Joyce Burchett's baby boys, United States Congressman.
it's amazing.
That's
pretty
incredible. Cool. More people have played professional baseball than been in Congress.
Yeah.
But when I see the good old boys and girls out there busting their ass every day, I think about them. I think about those people. And that's who we got to start thinking of. We can't worry about the mainline Marxists that are trying to run this country, or the big boys that just pull the strings. I call them they're the tarmac people, because every time there's a president, they're out on the tarmac. You know how many times I've met a president out on a tarmac? Zero. Zero.
Well, maybe that'll change with Trump. Speaking of justice, the Department of Justice, Kash Patel, the FBI, as Jack said, we talk about this all the time. And I know you know this. Your constituents, the American people, are still pissed. They don't feel like yes, we're moving in the right direction. I will grant you that. But little things like, Dan Bongino railed on his show like they know whose cocaine that was in the White House. They got DNA off it. The Roe leaker, who leaked the Roe decision. These are easy things that would just be like, bread for the peasants. Give us something. It seems like we get nothing from this FBI. Yeah. Is it just, as you said, so overwhelming? The bureaucracy so dug in that those guys are having a hard time?
I think it is, and you got so many layers of the onion that it's so dadgum deep. Before Trump fired all the head people, but you got to go 3 or 4 layers deep.
Yeah.
And I know Cash pretty okay, but Bongino and I are pretty good buddies. I saw him. I was coming out of the Oval Office not long ago and meeting with President Trump, and he was there, and he hollered at me. And I mean, these are straight up patriots, man. He's doing it for the right reason. It's costing him $3 or $4 million a year, and most money that most Americans could never see. And he's taken a major sacrifice for him and his family to do this. And I think they're genuine. But I think they've got so much they've got to uncover. And yeah, the cocaine thing was a huge cover up. That bag of cocaine had legs on it. It walked from one end of the White House to the other. To the only area in the White House that didn't have a dadgum camera on it. I was the one that walked out and blasted them, because when they said this wasn't they were calling this investigation over next Friday. And I can read people. And these poor Secret Service agents that were in charge of it, or it might have been FBI, I can't remember. You could tell just the disgust on their face. They had it narrowed down to like 200 people, and then they were calling the investigation off. I just, that came straight from the top. And where was the outrage in the national media again?
Yeah.
We've just become so calloused that that's been allowed. And you're seeing that in the national media now. They're losing out to guys like yourself, and thank goodness, because I can't take it. I get beat up on a regular basis in my local press, and I mean, they just become leftists all of a sudden, and but their market share is diminishing so much. Our local newspaper, my dog wouldn't even take a crap on it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's why we wanted you on, because you're honest. You're a good congressman, and you deserve to be able to come on to some media. And we are the media now. And you
are the media now. You
deserve to come on here and not be, hassled or, just be, have negative press all the time. It's ridiculous. But so I wanted to ask you real quick, since we only got a few minutes left, there is a question that I wanted to ask.
Sure.
So there are many governors, right? Like J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom, mayors like Michelle Wu and Brandon Johnson, that are breaking the law by harboring illegal aliens, right, under the guise of sanctuary policies. The supremacy clause of the Constitution says, that if the federal and state laws conflict, that federal law is the supreme law of the land. So that makes sanctuary cities illegal. It makes harboring illegals a felony. So I'm just curious, why isn't the president using his authority under the Insurrection Act or anything and arresting these people while using the National Guard to squelch crime that's caused by their policies? I mean, these people, if he arrested one of them, like J.B. Pritzker or Brandon Johnson, everybody else would fall in line, I think. And this is his last term, so he doesn't have to worry about being voted back in. So why don't he just go out and arrest these people and do what he's got to do?
Well, the Tim Burchett's the world are playing checkers. Donald Trump is playing chess. I think he's giving them more ropes. They hang themselves worse, because every time they open their dadgum mouths, it just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, that bonehead that's running California into the ground right now, my gosh. Every time he
wants to be
talks,
president in 2028.
Yesterday he was talking about, growing up in the hood. I mean, he didn't grow up in the hood. I mean, that's me. I tell everybody, I said, I grew up in the tough streets of West Hills. Didn't know where my next meal was going to come from, either a sizzling steakhouse or a Shoney's. That guy's he's a clown, and he just,
Totally.
and I think they just let him, and Trump gets it, and he's going to let them just get there. I remember story of football coach Johnny Majors. They were playing against Auburn one year, and it was at Auburn, and they were getting ready to go out on the field, and Majors held them in the tunnel underneath the section right there, and people were throwing drinks on them and spitting on them and cussing them, and he held them right there. I sort of think that's what Trump's doing to this country. He's letting those people, letting us get to spit on enough to where we're going to take care of them at the polls. And this New York thing, unfortunately, we're going to lose some real estate to do it. But and all those Yankees moved down here to Tennessee. Dadgum, I used to be in the U-Haul business, and I couldn't get those big trucks. Now they can't give them away because they're all coming here from these other states. They can't get them out of here fast enough.
But they're bringing their votes with them,
Well, a little bit, but a lot
Not
of them.
always.
I'm down here in Lenore City Loud, and they have a conservative club, and I speak down there, and they got, I don't know, 50, 100 members. I get down there to 160 people. It's hot. It's packed. You can't, and I'm speaking to the group. And without a doubt, every one of those Yankees says the same thing, and I love them. They say, look, we left it bad where it was bad, and we're down here warning you all. Do not let that infect down here, because look what it did up there. And I'm seeing more and more of that. Case in point, down in Texas, where it's not Bono. What the heck's his name? The guy who ran against the senator down in anyway.
I can't think of it either.
Yeah, he rode a skateboard. Anyway, and he almost won. And everybody said, oh, it's all those people moving in from California and New York. No, it wasn't. It was the homegrown socialist. We're losing our fight by our public colleges and universities. Case in point, AOC, publicly educated, degree in economics.
What about?
Yeah, go ahead.
You made me think about Tennessee, because I do have a lot of connections there. What about Memphis? I love that city. I spent every summer there with my grandmother when I was growing up in Memphis. My dad went to college and medical school there. And that city, the last time I was there, man, it is it's a shit. It's a bad place.
Shithole. Yeah, it's a shithole.
Thank you. Shithole. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bad. It was, Well, everybody said Trump violated the Constitution. Well, no, he didn't. The governor asked him to come in. It is
Yes.
a lawless town. You interview the people, not the leaders. And that's what you're seeing a lot is these ministers and so-called leaders. They just want to stay in power. It's like these
Right.
warlords overseas. They love it when, like Hamas and all that. The leaders of Hamas were living in Qatar or Qatar, $1 billion setup
Yep.
over there.
Yeah.
Right.
They weren't down there fighting it out in the slums. Same with these guys. That's how they stay in power. If black kids and white kids are killing each other, and blacks and if Jews and Christians are fighting or what have you, the leadership's still staying in power, brother. And that's all they
True.
want. They don't care about that. My daddy had a plaque on his desk, a World War II Marine, that said, "Old men make decisions and young men die." And that's exactly what that's
That is-
about.
Wow. That is.
We need leaders in this country, brother.
God
That could
bless
not be
your
more
father,
pointed.
man, for his service in World War II. That's amazing.
Yes,
Last thing before we go, I wanted to ask you: is there anything that's going to be done? Because you're a Christian, right? You're a Christian?
yes,
so-
I'm not a very good one, but I am one.
Same
I'm a
here.
Christian as well, and so is James. So I'm just curious: is there any role that America is going to play to help stop the genocide of Christians in Nigeria?
Well, first thing we got to do is these gutless preachers got to start preaching the gospel from the pulpit. Quit being
Thank
afraid
you,
of
sir.
quit being afraid of what the congregation is thinking. You better be worried about what God's thinking. And yeah, I think we got to stop selling arms to Niger. We cannot allow them any funds. We need the United Nations. That's why we ought to pull out of the United Nations. They're a
100%.
toothless tiger, man. They're a wall made out of wet toilet paper.
All bark. That's good.
And that's it can happen, but it's happening all over the world. I mean, China,
Yeah.
for instance, everybody, all the tough guys in Congress. So we need to, Ukraine. Yeah. And I said, what's going to happen when China rolls across the straits and hits Taiwan? Are you going to be doing that same thing? I said,
Yeah.
look, all you gutless wonders out there. I said, y'all better. You can't even find Ukraine on a dadgum map. I said, I don't want to send you think I'm going to send my 18-year-old daughter to fight in your war for your portfolio? You're crazy.
No
And we
doubt.
better straighten it up. And they don't, they found all this, there's several hundred million in this last, and I voted against it, this last authorization, these initials for everything or saying whatever they call it. But they couldn't figure out. I said, our leadership told us that Trump wanted this money in there. I called the White House. They said, no, we didn't want it in there. We're trying to figure out how it got in there.
Wow.
Money for
Mike
Ukraine.
Thompson.
And that's, you got your, it's just your portfolio warriors, man. You better watch them.
Disgusting. So disgusting.
Before we go, I just wanted to say, after the episode, if you just want to stick around for 1 second, after the stream, we're just gonna,
I got you.
thank you. Okay.
All right, man. Well, Congressman, we really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. It's crazy, and you're one of our heroes on this show, and I know
Thank you,
the
brother.
listeners feel the same way. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Well,
I'm James
appreciate
Clary.
it.
He's Jack Danger. You bet. He is Congressman Tim Burchett. It's Secret America. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Secret America with Jack Danger and James Clary.